getting ready to seize your first opportunity to come into the ring and start grandstanding and hot dogging, yeah!
I can't help it that I look good, smell good, woo, can dance all night long.
When we speak, our voices are heard. We all say, I bring it.
Welcome to the newest wrestling podcast on the internet. Welcome to Malice Corp Smack Talk. I am your host, Masonic Vader. Thank you very much for taking your time out of your day to check out our cast. Always with me, we've got Marty.
Here I am. Let's get this thing going.
Yes, sir. Janetty in his house. And, of course, we got MindFreak.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back once again. Let's just dive into it.
Yes. It is going to be a good week here. We're going to skip the news right now like we normally go into. We're just going to shoot past that. We're going to get right into the shows. We're going to start off with a little bit of NXT and 205 action. Now, of course, I guess let's quickly explain how we're changing things up slightly a little bit as we started this last week. We're going to go and break down the shows per individual here. I'm going to be taking on NXT and 205. We'll get into it a little bit, and then we'll switch over to Raw and SmackDown. Much better conversation flow, be able to let us break it down a little bit easier for you because obviously if you've watched the shows, it's just a matter of us throwing out the stuff in about them. So before we start off, though, I want to just take a quick second to thank our host, Malice Corp, right over there. I'm pointing to him right there. Great site, all things nerd, geek, everything going out there. And right now it's a big popular time as we've got all the cons going. So if you're interested in getting some updated information about that, or if you're a big fan of shopping for Amazon stuff, click on the link on there. It actually supports the small podcast group that we are. But there's plenty of other shows on there outside of ours and the main show, which is Friday nights at 8 o'clock. So feel free to check out the site. Once again, Malice Corp there. And, of course, you see all the other how you can follow us as well. So let's get right into it. 205 Live started off this week. Now, 205 Live has been a little, I don't want to say, they've been focusing a lot more on their big names right now. So, of course, the first way it starts off with is it's Lucha House Party has been a big push for them lately, and it's been them against the Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher. Jack Gallagher, unfortunately, was taking care of some family business this week, so it was mainly just Lince Dorado versus Brian Kendrick. Great match. Did exactly what I need to do to start off the show. Kendrick, I always enjoy watching that guy, man. I enjoyed it the first time he came out in wrestling, and I'm enjoying him even more as he's mentoring these younger guys. Great match, but, of course, it ends off with Lince winning the match, but then, of course, getting Drew Gulak involved. So they're starting this little faction war between Lucha House Party, and which they don't have a name yet, but Brian Kendrick, Jack Gallagher, and Drew Gulak. And it's starting to look pretty good so far. I like the intensity between them, and Drew Gulak is definitely kind of he's had a really good negative, like he's turned into a good bad guy, a good heel to follow. He's really getting into it. Were you guys able to see that this week, and what'd you guys think?
I just saw some of the highlights. Didn't really get a chance to watch too much, and but I thought the few matches they had were pretty decent. I don't know what it is, but I'm kind of interested in seeing where they're going to go with Buddy Murphy. I think he can be a big star on 205.
We'll get to that in a second. Don't break it. Don't break it. We're on deep. Brian Kendrick.
I'm sorry. I thought we were just talking 205 Live. I haven't
gotten to that one, man.
I didn't see too much of the Brian Kendrick, so I don't have much on that one. I did see some highlights on that one.
I got you. What about you, MindFreak? Were you able to check it out this week?
Yeah. I mean, overall, that was a good match. I mean, seeing Brian Kendrick come back, especially being in that role in the 205 Live. I mean, starting out with what they kind of did revamp it. He's always been impressive, especially more so to your point that you made earlier. The fact that you got a lot of these young, a lot of the young talent within 205. I can kind of see him as that, locker room mentor. The guys got to handle that question, stuff like that. But not only that, with the way he performs, he has that abstract style of his, which I think that it fits perfectly for the character that he's developed within it. And he's always entertaining to watch. I mean, I can't remember a time that there has been a bad match, but at the same time, I can't remember when there's been like a complete phenomenal match. So it's like he's starting to get the ball rolling again, and they're kind of doing more. And like you said, kind of interesting to see the this little like faction war that's getting ready to start up that they're kind of like teasing and hinting at and kind of leading up to.
Yeah, and I like Brian Kendrick's entrance music, man. Ever since day one, man. I love that entrance music, man. It's awesome. Switching gears, the next match, 205 has been kind of light on the matches. They went right to TJP. Interesting storyline. They're trying to. It just seems like they're trying to find a home for TJP. I guess he's ran his time in 205. He's getting ready to get going into potentially Smackdown. They've been pushing that, or at least he's been, asking for the general manager, the commissioner, to be signing him over to SmackDown. All of his matches lately have been against jobbers, and it's a very, I don't know. To me, it's interesting, but also an uncomfortable feeling, because it almost feels like you don't know if he's going to go SmackDown, if this is his walkout tour, he's going to go back indie. I'm sure he's going SmackDown or anything, but that's just the vibe you get from it right now. It's just, to me, it's wasted talent. They've really had a hard time finding something for him ever since Rich Swann got the boot. Because they had a really good angle going on there, and then Rich Swann happened so fast that they've just struggled with him. So they're trying to get him off that 205 market, which they should, and get him into the main roster where he could try to move on up. Because I would love to see him against matches like we were talking about pre-show, like Sin Cara, or even getting into this, stepping up to maybe someone like, say, a Bobby Roode or something like that. Some guy where you've got a veteran talent who's got this young kid who's got a ton of potential for a long-term future, especially going against those types of guys like an AJ Styles, because they're all very similar in fighting styles. So,
and Randy Orton, that would be nice. That's just me. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. Okay, we're moving. Yeah, we're moving through. I've been a fan of TJP, and I like especially going up against veteran talent. Like, it'd be a great program within Randy. That's just me. Or to your point, like Sin Cara, or even throw him into something with Adrian Cianamos. So a lot of potential, especially if he does go over to SmackDown. So we'll see what happens in the future with that.
Yeah, I think TJP, since the day he's come in, he's been completely wasted. I feel like they never really – they had a good storyline when he first came in with Brian Kendrick, the whole mentor and role model versus the young guy coming in. I thought that was a great storyline, but it never really went anywhere. It just like Brian Kendrick kind of just got pulled off the roster, and kind of either way, I don't remember him being injured at all. But he kind of just got put to the back burner, and then they went, started going towards the Rich Swann and a bunch of different back and forth with Neville. But I feel like they never finished that storyline, and that story was a pretty good program. It could have been a great program. But yeah, like you said earlier, started going big, getting up there with Rich Swann, and I think at that point 205 was probably the biggest and highest it's been before it went downhill. Now it's kind of starting to make its way back up to that high level again, because they're focusing on the wrestling rather than the promotion and the entertainment part of it. But yeah, I think he needs to come up to the main roster. I think that he can compete with everyone in the cruiserweight division. But I think he's a talent and on the mic and skill level where he can mix it up with some other guys. I mean, I think he could put on some good matches with either, AJ or even with a Finn Balor or Seth against the Raw brand. But I think he's also a guy, he's an easy face and a baby face on the roster. So I think that you can even put him in a match against the Miz, and the Miz, have that heat on him and rise him up to the next level too, as far as a character. But I think he's absolutely a wasted talent down there on 205 where he's not been seen or at all.
Yeah, absolutely. He came on right off the bat. His talent was amazing, but the little things like the dabbing and stuff like that was just kind of annoying as all hell. I love that. Oh, stop, man! See, there you go again, dude, with your generic RKO shirt there. Anyways,
WWE shop around the holidays. It's his official merch.
Yeah, no, he's been a great talent, but his angles have been wasted between either Neville getting whatever happened to Neville. Kendrick was going good, but he did get injured. That was the problem with him. He did get injured, and it was in mid form, and that's when it switched to Rick Swann, and then of course we know what happened to Swann. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see his talent start going again and SmackDown or whatever Raw they go to. And to your point, man, yeah, 205. There was a quick point. There was a quick area where they were dragging because, and it just happened with NXT too, where they were trying to do too much of the promo stuff and too much of the hype and not enough of the actual wrestling. And I think that's when Triple H took over creative control again for both of the, or at least for not only NXT, but then he started taking over for 205, and they've switched it back to more of the wrestling angle and trying to. Whatever promos they're doing is more angled toward the actual being active, and that comes to the final match of the night, which was Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali. First of all, I'm a huge fan of Mustafa Ali. He's been a great talent since coming in. I'm looking forward to him getting his first championship run because I think he's definitely earning his marks there at 205, if not moving up. His match with Buddy Murphy, man, back-to-back matches with Buddy Murphy. First Cedric last week and now Ali this week. That guy has flipped a 180 since leaving NXT the first time, being tag team champs and everything. He is phenomenal. He's a great heel. He's in great shape. His athletic prowess is just top notch. I mean, right now he is right now the Seth Rollins of the NXT 205 right now. He can't go wrong. All of his matches have been great. His promos have been right on. I see his time at 205 being very limiting because of the fact that he is just flying through this. It was a phenomenal match. Like I said, both of them did really well. It got kind of messed up with the freaking
Hideo Tommy.
Yeah, Hideo Tommy. I mean, they're still struggling to find Hideo Tommy's niche yet. I mean, he got him getting injured and then Hideo Tommy coming in and messing it all up. I mean, obviously they're going to probably do some kind of triple threat match for the for more likely the pay-per-views and everything. But as a whole, man, that match was great. It was a great match. It's nice to see Buddy Murphy doing what he's doing right now. I see you shaking your head, Janetty. What do you think, bud?
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think that ever since Murphy's kind of gone on his own and been brought up to 205, I think he's been showing, a lot of talent and a lot of upside, and I think that's great. Because when he was on NXT, yeah, he was doing good, when he was part of the tag team, when he had Alexa on his side, but he didn't really showcase himself. And now that they pull him aside, it's one of those scenarios where they separate and you see who the true star of the group was. And I think that we're just seeing not even the tip of the ladder with him, because I think he's just going to keep climbing that ladder even higher and higher. Because I think he does have a lot of talent, a lot of upside, and I think that match between him and Ali, I think Ali is probably been one of the top three performers on the 205 Live since the roster came out and the division was made. Pretty consistent performer, and I think the two that putting on that great match. And then Tommy coming out and just, interfering and causing the DQ. I've always been a fan of Tommy, even back when he was Kenta and fighting in Japan. And I think that, the injury set him back big time, because when he first, before the injury, he was making main roster appearances. He was showing up with Finn Balor. And he's a guy who could be that smaller, performer, but still putting on great matches against different sized competitors. And
yeah, that injury, I'm going to jump in only because that injury was so ill-timed, man, because
it really
was right at the hype when it was going to be him and Finn Balor, dude. That was going to be match of the year right there. Him and Finn Balor would have been it. And just to see him go down like that, I was like, no, not now.
He's absolutely, and that's one of those injuries where, you see guys come back from injury all the time, but I feel like this injury was one of those that he comes back and they don't know what to do with him now. And you kind of saw the same thing with Balor when he first came back from his injury, because it took a while before they started putting him in, legitimate storylines. And it just, I think that they've seen these smaller guys come back from these significant injuries, and then when they come back, it's like, okay, well, we're just going to wait and see what we can do, build that trust up in this guy again. And I think that they're just like TJP, we're losing, a waste on talent because he's somebody who can absolutely rise to the next level if he had the opportunity. And I think with whether they're going with Mustafa Ali or Buddy, or even both of them, whichever it may be, I think that this could be the storyline that gets him back into the main spotlight and possibly onto a path of coming to the main roster and being a high level competitor.
Absolutely. Yeah, he needs to get to the main roster, but unfortunately 205's talent level isn't there yet, so they can't just let him ditch yet. Mustafa is coming around quite well. He's a fan favorite. Buddy Murphy's awesome. He's going to be a great heel, great champ, because they're going to give it to him.
Absolutely, he is.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander has also come around really well. I think, to be perfectly frank, man, I think it started with just ditching some of his entrance music, man. The one thing I've always hated about Cedric Alexander is his entrance music was that slow kind of like, come on out, and oh my God, it took like 30 seconds for him to finally start walking down the ramp, and now they've kind of tightened it up and let him get right into the ring. It's amazing what that entrance music stuff does to people. It's crazy.
Yeah, not even just with him. You look at the entire division, over the last, I would say 2 to 3 months, probably even just right before WrestleMania, you've seen them really cut the waste, so to speak. Cutting some of the promos, cutting some of the talent itself, and then dropping like you said, with just the small changes in music and the entrances alone, and you just see the difference. You're putting the focus more on the wrestling and the performance of the stars themselves, and you're taking away a lot of the waste, so to speak, in those divisions. That when people tune into 205 or even going back to NXT, we're tuning in to see the wrestling. We're tuning in to see the action. We're not tuning in for the sports entertainment. That's why we watch 5 hours of Raw and SmackDown a week. And because of that, I think that's helping elevate these shows to higher levels.
Absolutely, man. Triple H, you could see Triple H's fingerprints all over it, which is awesome. So
absolutely.
All right, so let's move on to the next show then, really quick. NXT. NXT this week was actually interesting. I'll skip. First of all, TM61. That was the second match of the night. TM61 is changing. I mean, they're putting him in his heel. They were gone because I think his name's Shane was out for almost a year with injury, and so they're getting him back into there. But right now, TM61's been fighting a bunch of jobbers, and it's kind of like that. Hey, trying to get him back in, trying to get the heel aspect of it, just trying to throw in the face, because they're taking complete faces and changing them heel, and they're trying to force it down very fast with the jobbers. And it was a good match on their part, but it was just as a whole a boring match. So I'm just going to kind of walk through that. It did start off with, though, and this is where I've been kind of concerned about the UFC, Shayna Baszler promo. I love her as a champ. I mean, I think it's great because she is the ultimate heel. She is a badass. She is going to be really good when she gets up to the next level and can go against Sonya Deville, or even potentially get the Ronda Rousey angle going, or whenever they get the rest of the 4 horsewomen for the UFC going and stuff. However, though, and this is what I've said now since day one, her mic skills were horrible. And I'm talking about like she had some kind of it was almost like a weak attempt of a Macho Man Savage draw in there and stuff. It's like, if you ever try that again, and then she stops and then she starts going on to something else, like what happens if she tries again? What are you going to do? And it just was a really bad, and to make it worse is that it was, you got the crazy, oh my gosh. Thank you, Nikki Cross. And her promo angles aren't that good either, because she's just running around as this crazy woman, just like in her sense, repeating stuff. Now, it worked well with this certain thing, but since she's been in NXT, she hasn't really done much of the promo stuff. So you've got a really good wrestler Nikki Cross has been in wrestling for a long time, and she's definitely worth her weight in gold. But you've got this weak promo that's Shayna Baszler coming out, and she's trying to sound badass, but it's starting to sound like she's taking some off of Randy Macho Man Savage. She can't complete her threats. And then you come back around with Crazy Cross, just, do it. Now, the Swedish accent was cool, but still, do it, So it was kind of like it was a wasted 5 minutes of promo.
Yeah, it was, it's the biggest, issue that everyone's looking or seeing and concern that everyone has, and it definitely showed. And it's the matchup between Cross and Baszler. And a couple weeks ago we were talking about who's in the matchup, and we threw out the Cross and Baszler matchup, and I think it's going to be a great matchup and it's huge. But unless they flip a switch and start doing some kind of different with the promos, this can possibly be big enough negative on the feud that it turns it into something you don't want to watch. And that's unfortunate, because I think it could be a great outing and program between the two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, phenomenal performers in both of them. And I want to see that match, but it's to Marty's point. It's just like it could have that negative effect on me because of the fact of the way the promos are going. So something does need to kind of change with the promos. Something needs to happen to get people more interested instead of disinterested in it.
Now, one thing I will say about the promo, and I don't know if you noticed it. Now, obviously, when it was all done, Shayna Baszler was walking out with a busted lip and stuff. But to that point, though, this is the one upside I like about having Shayna Baszler or Ronda Rousey or anybody else who comes over. She got kicked in the face. It wasn't even like a scrape or a push. Like Nikki Cross got up on that second rope and started dropping her right foot down, and I saw the point of contact. Baszler took it like a champ. She got her hands up right afterwards, but man, she took a kick to the face and she got back up. And this is the other part you got to be kind of nervous about. What happens if she's in the middle of a match and something like goes off? Someone hits her in the face like that, she goes off. She goes UFC on her. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any of it happening. I feel like they've done enough training to where they know the difference between what's going on in the WWE versus UFC. Obviously when they drop Brock into that octagon, they know they're going out the blood and out to kill. If I feel that the WWE is smart enough, and that at the Performance Center and everyone they're working with, that they're not going to put them on TV if that was even a glimpse or concern that might happen.
Well, you got to look at, like, say, for example, Brock Lesnar the last couple of times busted open Roman Reigns and busted open Randy Orton before with the elbows, and I don't ever see anything about those being like scripted or anything or put in there.
Right, but that I don't see that as being part of being because of UFC. I think that's just being Brock Lesnar being a jackass and not knowing how he's
and honestly, the only thing that I really seen that had with the Brock UFC stuff come out was in that triple threat match a couple months ago, where he literally just straight up right-handed Braun to the side of the face.
Yeah, but he busted open Roman, he busted up Randy too. And you look at him, what happened to Brock over the last year and a half? Oh, he was busted for steroids. I mean, the guy's juiced up no matter. I don't care what anyone says. He's a part-timer, so he doesn't get tested the same way that everyone else is. I know we're talking about other stuff right now, but it's kind of come back.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
But, it's just like what's going on with Brock and what he has his little, roid rages, so to speak. It's different than what's going on with the women. I don't see Ronda or Baszler, having that issue. I think when Brock has it, even before he went to UFC, he still had the same issues back then as well. And maybe not to the extent that he had just busting someone's head open like he had over the last couple of years. But I think that's just Brock being Brock, and that has not. I don't think you can correlate that to be the MMA world.
Well, I'm hoping one thing that they'll probably do for Shayna Baszler, and I don't know, even potentially Ronda Rousey, and I think maybe they've already done it with Ronda with having Natalya, but I think Shayna Baszler needs a manager or a spokesperson. She needs somebody to kind of help her get through this initially, because that's what Brock had. Brock had Paul Heyman since pretty much day one. And even though Paul Heyman does most of the promos now, the times that Brock Lesnar does get on the mic is a hell of a lot better than when Brock Lesnar first started in wrestling and couldn't speak at all. So I think they need to do something like that with at least Shayna Baszler start off. I think they've already done it with Natalya, with Ronda, but Ronda seems like she's got a little bit better of the mic skills, even though her commentary was a little lackluster last week too, which I'm sure something will mention there soon. But I think they need to do that with Shayna. They kind of let her focus more on the wrestling and kind of keep the keep the bad guy or the heel face going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after that, you have Danny Burch and Roderick Strong, which is a really good match. They're just kind of right now, NXT is setting up for their pay-per-view takeover, but they're also they're two-timing or doing two jobs as far as setting up the UK tournament. And so right now you've got Danny Burch, who more likely will probably be in that tournament. You've got him tagging up with the champ, the UK champ, Pete Dunne. Yeah, exactly. And they've got the little feud going on between them and the era. And yeah, exactly. So you see that going on. It's kind of an interesting scenario with the area because they have Roderick Strong filling in a sense for Fish, who's still injured apparently, and we're waiting for him to come back. But you've got this feud happening between these three, and like I said, it's starting to set up the UK tournament and all the things that are going with that. Because as you've probably heard or seen in the news and stuff like that, WWE is going all in for Europe, or at least starting off with the UK and kind of expanding out there. They finally have been able to get their foothold there, and this is their next level of doing that. So the Danny Burch and Roderick Strong match was good. There was definitely some good spots in there. There was some good hard hits. Like I said, though, and I've said this in the past, I hate matches that get interrupted with people jumping in the ring out of the side and all the side stuff, especially when it's a good match going. It kind of ruins the thing. But Danny Burch, Roderick Strong, good match, good one to follow, good one to watch once in a while if you seen them all, I guess, in a sense. And we'll just kind of move on from there. Don't want to talk much about that. I want to get into the main event, which was Kairi Sane versus Lacey Evans in their rubber match. I like the feud. Lacey Evans, I think, is definitely going to be one of those good heels if they could kind of tweak her a little bit, because I'm still not vibing the whole lady of wrestling kind of thing. I like the fact that she's a former Marine or a retired Marine, however you want to call it. My apologies if I stepped the wrong way on that. She's got all the ability for it. She's definitely got the look. She's definitely got some mic skills that I've heard so far. Kairi Sane is not a good opponent for her, not a good feud. In fact, I once again, I have a hard time with Kairi Sane as far as the amount that she's pushing, that they're pushing her, excuse me. Her matches have been okay. The last match actually was a little rough when she was doing her spears. She was barely hitting spears with an elbow. It was almost like an arm tackle every time. And it was Lacey Evans overacting to make it look good. Her crazy elbow is a great move, but outside of that, it's I find it's one of those things where I know we've talked about this before, where Kairi Sane, she's definitely good in the matches and skills and everything, but I have a hard time seeing her beat someone like a Shayna Baszler, or even in this situation, a Lacey Evans, just because of the fact that for most of the match, she's getting dominated, and now she hits a couple small spears and then hits her crazy elbow. It was a good match, though. When it comes down to it, the match was good. It was a great main event for it, and I'm interested to see where they're going to. Unfortunately, I think what's going to end up happening is I think Baszler's going to lose the freaking title to Kairi Sane, so she can move up to freaking SmackDown or whatever in the future. But were you guys able to see the main event for NXT?
No, I didn't get to see the main event at all on that one.
MindFreak, same. I know you guys have been a little busy.
Yeah, same with that one.
Yeah, I like Lacey Evans. If you haven't seen any of her matches, please check out some of her matches. She's got some really good skills. I like her. She's got a new finishing move. She calls it the women's right, and it's literally just a right hand, but the way she throws it, it's solid. It's a solid punch. She's really got good athletic skills. She actually showed a lot of it this week too. She missed it, man, but she took she got on the second rope and then literally just jumped up to the top and did a moonsault. Missed the moonsault, but man, the athletic ability for the size that she is, you don't expect to see her. And I'm not saying size as far as size is like she can't be athletic, but she's definitely more of a muscle ground and pound, and she just got up there and did it. It was the first time I've seen it. So R2D2 agrees with me, which is good. But NXT is good right now, though. They are getting rid of Sub Takeover, so the matches are kind of setups. The promos are going to start coming a little bit more. So a little weak altogether, but as a whole was still a good match. Not the best of NXT. So. But that's the setup for the small guys, the 1 hour shows. I guess we're now going to move over to Janetty. You got Raw this week, right?
Got Raw.
All right, let's talk some Raw.
I think Raw was a pretty average show. Wasn't too great. Had some decent moments. I mean, yeah, you had the Riot Squad, come out, beat Alexa Bliss and Bailey. I'm sorry, not Bailey. Sasha and Ember Moon, which I get they're trying to get all these women involved. Made absolutely no sense having Alexa Bliss in that match, except for the outcome.
She walks out.
Yeah. I mean, that's part out. Then I can understand, but it's like, why do you have a heel with teaming up with faces, the face of the heels? Obviously, she did the heel move. But I think what that came out of that match, Bailey came in, jumped in, saved, got the hop with the win, and then obviously on the back when they go, that they revoke the win and give it as a DQ to the Riot Squad. And I think just Ember Moon got upset, walked away, but then I think just it forwards a storyline further with Sasha. And at this point, it's like, just give us this match ready. Quit playing back and forth. It's not a tennis match. Just give us this feud. We know what they can do. Quit playing with it. Quit teasing it and let it happen. And I think that's what the biggest thing came out of that match, and that's pretty much all that came out of that match.
Yeah.
Finn and KO had a decent match. It ended in a DQ, but seeing them on the ladder and jumping up and down the ladder, and seeing Kevin Owens get up there and get scared, it's like, okay, what's going on here? But a lot of the matches I felt didn't really do too much for anybody that was involved in the earlier matches. I think that the first match that really, gave some kind of value was the Nia Jax and Natalya match. And I think by there it's progressing storyline between, what's going on between Natty and Nia and Ronda, and it's kind of building up that storyline in a program between them. Even though I thought it was a decent match and it was going back and forth and showing a little bit of strengths and weaknesses, obviously, of both, but I think the way they ended that, I think if it kind of ended with bringing Nia back into as a face as well, which it's like pick a side and go with it, but then you have, Natalya get the whatever wonky thing happen with her leg, and then on her own accord, first of all, what had nothing to do with Nia doing anything to her, and then she losing the match because of that injury. And then Ronda,
really quick, I haven't looked into that. Was that a legit injury? Because the way I saw her coming off that rope, it looked like she actually did tweak the knee.
I haven't seen anything come out of it yet.
Yeah,
I mean, usually when it's something serious, they mention something somewhere. But they haven't said anything. Not even like a storyline to say anything about it. So that's what's going on with this. But then Ronda comes down from the commentating and the table and comes down there and gets in Nia Jax's face and goes back and forth with that. And one, it's like, well, first of all, if you're watching the match like everyone else was, you would see that Nia did nothing whatsoever to cause the injury to her. So calm down with that. And then the whole Nia keeps coming closer and bumping into her. It just felt too pushed and forced that it was like, come on, guys. You guys are better than this. Let's see something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And, it's obviously, if it's just going to lead to the line of Ronda, becoming that badass because she's going to, avenge her friend, it's okay. I can see why you're going to go that route, but we all saw that had nothing to do with it. And you're forcing a storyline that really isn't there. But what came out of that match, and we already kind of hit on it a little bit with Baszler, Ronda is she's really showing her weakness on the mic. And her saying that, the commentating, and just the comments she was making, it was like, okay, just quit talking. No reason to be there. She made a comment, about, only her husband finds her prime for the picking, and it's like that came out of nowhere. But okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. But yeah, it was just her entire commentating back and forth was just flat, and it made no sense. And what she comes out smiling like always and waving to the crowd, and then all of a sudden she puts the mic set down and wants to flip the switch to be the badass. Okay, Stephanie.
By the way, that comment she made about her husband, I love how she did it right before they went on commercial break, and then right when they came back from commercial break,
I noticed
it's
that
like
too.
it's like they thought it got cut off. So Michael Cole had to ask the same exact question, and she gave the same exact answer. I was like, oh my God, dude, someone give her a manager.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what we're going to end up finding out is that she's going to end up having a manager. And I think that's so.
Well,
So I can't tell you that's really quick on the Natalya injury. The only things I've seen on it this week is that there's nothing confirming that it's like a legit injury per se. They're saying she tweaked it. But there's talk going around of saying that they might use it to interject Bayley into the ladder match versus Natalya.
And I kind of saw it as them if they do go that route, as them possibly pushing her out of the ladder match as well. And I kind of saw that the one too. I hope it's not the case because I'd rather just see her in there.
Absolutely.
In the last second, throwing Bayley in there. But yeah,
there's still a strong possibility of that happening.
Yeah, well, I just think that when it gets to the ladder match, that the two favorites to win the match are going to be either Natalya or Becky Lynch. And if you remove Natalya, put Bayley in there, I don't want to see Bayley with the briefcase. First of all, and I feel if Bayley's in there, it's the progressive storyline with Sasha again.
Well, now as you can see, I'm wearing my Bayley shirt. Okay, but I will say this: I'm not a fan of Bayley going in there because of the simple fact that I think the problem they have with it is if you put Bayley in that match, you now have the 4 horsewomen in a match in a sense. Nice, buddy. Nice. I want them to avoid that. Just because I know they've done a good job of Charlotte going on her own. Sasha Banks has done good on her own. Becky Lynch has done good on her own. And then Bayley was the last one brought up for NXT. And she really hasn't had the traction like the other ladies have. And it could be a duel between just the angle she has, her personality and stuff. It definitely fit NXT a hell of a lot better. But at the same time, though, I just don't see the writers giving Bayley that push, even though she busted her ass to get where they need to or where she got to. So I really hope that it isn't a real injury, that they keep Natalya in there and they figure something out for Bayley after the fact and try to give her a more solid push than just throwing her into the ladder match and all of a sudden it's the 4 horsewomen teaming up against the other
Everybody
4.
else.
Blah, blah, blah. So I love you, Bayley, but we need to hold off a little bit longer.
Absolutely. And we start talking about, the 4 horsewomen, which talks about team ups and tag teams. And we had our tag team elimination battle royal. And I think that even though they got eliminated early, man, I just seen, Drew and Ziggler together. I think that they shouldn't have been in that match, first of all, because I just feel like they need to be in a better storyline, and they need to just come and just destroy everybody, no questions asked, and just be those 2 guys. Be essentially what they did with Cesaro and Sheamus, and putting these 2 individual superstars who can do it on their own, put them together, and just we're on fire as a team. We haven't really seen Drew by himself since he's been back, with the exception of one-off matches after him and Ziggler have been together. But seeing what they can do in the ring, we know Ziggler can go. We know that Drew can go. So let's put them in those matches and let them destroy people. Because after with that match coming down, came down to Rhino and Slater and the B team, and obviously we had the B team winning that match, and they're because of how popular they're getting and how hot they are as far as in the fans' eyes, they're gonna give them that little bit of a push. I don't see them winning anything against the leaders of the world, but it's throwing them a bone for everything they've been through. I think for the last couple of years, all the way from the Job Squad or whatever the heck they called themselves back to Social Outcast. But it was good to see them to win. I'm not going to take that away from them. To get to do this Money in the Bank match, but I think that we need to see McIntyre and Ziggler in a more prominent role in that tag team division, and see a good storyline between them and Bray and Matt.
Oh, absolutely! It'd be a great storyline to see, Dolph and McIntyre together, against Bray and Matt. But at the same time, you have to think, where have the authors of pain been? They were pretty dominant in NXT, but they came in, they had a couple, jobber matches, and we haven't really seen them since. So, and I haven't heard anything like an injury or anything like that. So where are they? What are they doing with them? That's another question too.
They're the same place that Sanity's at. They promoted Insanity for weeks on weeks on weeks, and we've seen glimpses of them.
I haven't even seen them.
Yeah, I think.
But you know what though? There's something going on with Sanity though. I read up there was some kind of legal issue going on with I don't know if it's something with their name or something, but that's what I heard is holding up Sanity from going full blow. Is there some kind of behind the scenes legal issue that's happening right now? So I do agree though. AOP, AOP, man, dominated NXT. Should come up here and just start dominating. I mean, the Bludgeon Brothers should not be dominating a division. AOP, not. I think WWE's kind of handled them a little off, and I don't know if it's because they wanted to not have them coming in dominating right off the bat because they already had that idea with the Bludgeon Brothers or something. But with them getting rid of Paul Ellering, and now where they're at right now, they're lost. They're lost,
Absolutely.
And because they definitely cannot do any mic skills, man. Their mic skills are horrible right now. It's like watching the Headhunters all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple more matches to talk about in Raw that had something come out of them. We had a big accomplishment happen on Monday Night Raw. We had a taco party come out.
Oh yeah.
Because good old Curt Hawkins was gonna prevent his number 200 from happening, and thanks to our brand new appointed Constable of Raw.
Oh my!
Curt Hawkins now saying that 200 consecutive losses, which is one. Okay, it's a storyline they're doing with it, whatever they want to do with it. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. They brought this guy back just to have him lose, 200 times.
You know what?
Ridiculous.
I agree the same, but I was actually reading up on that this morning. He is actually enjoying his run.
Oh, I know, and that's what's crazy about it.
He's loving it.
Well, look at the only merch that he's selling are the ones with the scratches on the back with the tallies of losses on them. People are buying that merch. It's crazy, but yeah, he's enjoying the run he's having. And now, wherever he came from before, obviously, he's making more money by beating that guy, and it was like, oh, okay, here we go. The thing that came out of it wasn't even the fact that they made him lose number 200 to good old James Harden, the jobber version.
Jobber.
But the fact that we get the backstage with Curt and Baron, and they're getting the constable. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it's like going back when they made Stone Cold the sheriff of Raw. At least Austin had some validity behind him, but coming with Baron Corbin, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Baron Corbin is a waste of talent right now. Like, there's a lot of talent that flows with him. I know that he's got a lot of heat behind the scenes. He's not liked well in the locker room and stuff, so I get it. But Constable of Raw is garbage. Straight,
and not only that,
hot garbage.
But the fact he pulled a letter out and handed it over to Curt, from Stephanie McMahon, and it's just like, okay, if you're not going to be on the show, why are all these heel guys on the roster have this personal connection and one-off, and all they have to do is make a call to Stephanie McMahon, and she's going to either bring them to Raw or give them a match or let them go home, or give them what they want, or put them in the Money in the Bank rematch, or make them a constable. It's like, why? She needs to remove herself. We don't need to have this authority figure just clouding over the entire roster, and brand. It's just every time you get something solid going, you don't see Shane, stepping over Paige on SmackDown. We did see it with Daniel Bryan, but that's because that was a different storyline that they were doing.
Yeah, that was an angle. Yeah.
But
it
the
was
whole
a great angle that they had with that.
Yeah, but it's like since day one, even before with Mick, it was always, oh well, if I don't like what you're gonna do, then I'm just gonna overstep you, and I'm gonna put in my perspective and my path. And obviously that's what led to Mick Foley not liking what he was doing and wanting to be out and him be removed. But they're doing the same thing with Kurt Angle, and it's like you have this guy who let him do his job. Quit inserting the authority figure there. Nobody wants to see the authority around. Nobody wants to see Stephanie McMahon on camera. So we're not getting her on camera on a weekly basis, but we're still getting interaction from her every single week. And it just, it devalues Kurt Angle as the GM. But it's just this whole concept of okay, see what they're going to do with it. But essentially what I see them as the constable is going to be the enforcer or whatever they're calling Bully Ray now.
I got one even better, dude. They're gonna break out the freaking mystery GM with that stupid computer, and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And also, Michael Coe says, and I quote. and
then out comes Hornswoggle again, and oh man. Yeah, so yeah. I'm not buying into this constable role. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's dumb. And I think they're reaching for something that Ring of Honor is doing with that, because they have the enforcer with Bully Ray down there, and it's going to be this guy who's going to come out and do whatever he wants. And I'm just not on board with that. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's WWE can't get rid of the McMahon. You don't want the McMahon to go. But you know what? We got it for 12 years with Vince and Stone Cold. We then got it for 4 years with the freaking Authority and her and Triple H. And I think everything started going right with the world the minute that after WrestleMania happened, her and Triple H just took a backseat. Triple H took care of NXT, started taking care of 205. Everything was right with the world. And then here comes Stephanie McMahon again. And she's trying to bring back her dad's swagger. And I get it. You want to always remind people that it's McMahon who saved wrestling in a sense. Okay, I get that. But it gets to a point where you could finally see that they can get away with it. Like there was a point where you couldn't see oh my God, what's going to happen when there's no McMahon running the show? What's going to happen? Everyone's going to go crazy. But now it's like, okay, we don't want to see McMahon running the show anymore because they've been able to successfully launch their brands and get to the point where McMahon doesn't have to be on the show all the time. And the stupid constable thing, I mean, they have nothing to do with Baron Corbin anyways right now. Like I said, Baron Corbin is wasted talent, but it's his own fault that he's wasted talent because of the fact that he can't get his shit straight behind the scenes. If he gets that straight, he's solid.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to do this, then cool, whatever. Do it the right way. Bring it into a promise storyline. Don't just bring it out during a jobber match with Curt Hawkins and James Harden 2.0. So I mean,
James Ellsworth.
Well, yeah, but they were in Houston. They were in Houston, and they got James Harden is a Rocket.
I got it, yeah,
whatever. But it's so okay, he's gonna come out and interfere in a match with Curt Hawkins, which is normally a match that's pre-taped for main event. It's like, are you gonna have a storyline now with Corbin and Hawkins? Because nobody wants to watch that. Nobody even wants to see that or hear them talk about it. So if you're going to do that, have it happen in a more prominent match where it's going to put some, support or validate it a little bit more and give it some more, backing behind it, rather than, oh, hey, there's some tacos. We're going to ruin all these tacos. Okay.
You haven't had a food fight in a while, apparently.
Yeah, a week. It was a week. Yeah. It went a week. And then to the last match we're going to talk about. And something I'm excited to see. This whole storyline between Elias and Seth Rollins, I'm on board with. I like this program. I think Elias is a great talent. I think he's amazing on the mic. Rollins is at the peak of his game right now, or just even coming to that peak moment. I think they're going to put on some great matches, and I'm happy to see what they're going to do. But to have Elias start Monday Night Raw and then have Rollins come out, interject himself, and then Jinder Mahal and everything come and happen. But then the biggest thing of the night happened. The loudest pop we've heard on the whole entire night, but the last, biggest pop we've heard from him in a while, the return of Roman Reigns. Because he hasn't been back on show he's been off for a couple weeks, and he was off last week, so we haven't seen him in about 2 weeks. His music hit, and all you heard was a pop for the guy.
Oh, yeah.
People were excited. People were loud. And my first thought was, okay, are they pumping this in there, or is this really legit? And I had a friend that was there at the show, and I asked her. She was sitting up by just off to the side of where the commentator's table was. And I asked her, it sounded like that pop came off pretty loud on TV. How was it in the arena? And she said that it was the loudest thing of the entire night. That however it sounded when it came out on the TV was minimal to what it sounded like in that arena. And it just irritates me to the fact that this guy's getting pops like this. It wasn't Seth Rollins was involved because he was already in the ring, but it's not like he came out with Rollins. He didn't come out with the Shield. He wasn't even expected to come out that moment, but he did. And the fact that he came out got that cheer. And then during the match, they were getting cheers both back and forth, Seth and Roman. It might have just been the fact that where they were, they're Roman fans, whatever it may be. But how many times have we seen a tag match with Roman in it, and they're begging for Seth or Dean to get tagged in, or whoever he's tagging with to come in, and booing as soon as Roman gets in the match? We didn't get that at all this time around. And it might have been because of Elias and Jinder, but Elias is getting more, louder pop than most of the people on the roster right now.
Walk with Elias.
That's what WWE is.
Yep.
We got to go that route. But I think that I don't know. I hope this is a turning point. I don't think it's going to be forever. But I just think him coming back off the show, and maybe the WWE to take this into their consideration of maybe letting something happen storyline wise with Roman and having him remove himself from the roster for a little bit, take a breather, whatever it may be. Even he doesn't even need to repackage himself, but I would say this would be an opportunity to repackage him. If he's gone for a week and he got a big pop like that, I think if he goes away for a little while and comes back repackaged and comes back as a surprise and nobody knows he's coming back, I think you really turn Roman around and get him get the rest of the fans on board, because the dude deserves it.
Do you think that this is more like a CM Punk scenario where he finally just lets the mic go? And I think a lot of people have started turning because that's really been the big change with what's happened with Roman Reigns lately, is he's just with his feud with Brock is I think what fueled it enough to where it's like, hey, dude, I bust my ass every week, and this guy's champion shows up once a quarter and gets paid millions of dollars while I'm out here and he started pipe bombing the heck out of that mic. And since then, I agree. His pops have been better. You still get the people that are negative Nancy's about stuff and you learn booing and stuff. But for the most part, he's definitely got a lot more electricity coming out. And I think it's all been from him just dropping those mic bombs and stuff. What do you think, MindFreak? I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, like I totally agree. Like some of his better promos, and like when I know me and Marty talked about this when it happened, one of the best promos he put off was right there after Elimination Chamber. And since then, it's the pop that he's been getting. I mean, to the point, you still hear, the boos here and that. But I mean, you get that with, a couple of people like, and stuff like that too. But the fact that, that pop last night when it just erupted with him coming out, absolutely. Like, let's see what happens. And to Marty's point, let him go away for a little while and then just boom, out of nowhere. Surprise everybody. I'm back. And it could be that turning point that he needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only him going away from a little while will I think benefit him, but I think you're going to elevate the rest of the roster as well. Because then you give Monday Night Rollins that chance to really shine even higher than he already is, because then he becomes the guy who not only is performing week in, week out, holding essentially the most prestigious bout on the show, But at that point, he's holding the brand on his shoulders too. But that match gets turned into a tag team match after the break, and then I think it was a pretty solid match. Good back and forth between the four guys. Obviously, it ended with a chair being brought in and Elias, dropping Seth down on there, getting the pin on Seth for the win. Which going to a pay-per-view, a week and a half, that's pretty expected to happen. But I think overall, between the match and the promos between them and the back and forth, and then the Papa Roman, I thought it was a pretty solid way to start the show. Especially when they ended the show with Balor and KO with the DQ. But overall, pretty decent. I would say pretty decent Raw. There's been some lower quality ones. I think the week before, where everything was a DQ and just kind of overrated matches. I think this week kind of brought itself back out and balanced it out after the last 2 weeks. And then after the recap for Raw.
We said that too last week. We said that the next couple of weeks, last week was going to be cruddy, and they were. This week a little better, and then next week it's going to be a boring fest because it's going to be all promos.
Yeah.
All right, hey, MindFreak, Smackdown time, man. Latest Smackdown. Let's go,
man.
Smackdown
on there. Candy. No, I'm just, can't say.
Candy asses. I said it. Candy asses.
I know.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Come on,
You're on
jabroni.
Hey, shut up, jabronis. I'm trying to be family friendly here for a second.
We're on Twitch, dang it.
Hey, you see that friendly you want to be? You turn that some bitch sideways, shine it up real nice, and say it straight up. Yo, ass.
Roxanne.
And there we go. There's
Roxanne
Rock.
Roxanne interrupt him. Okay. SmackDown for me overall this week was pretty decent. I think one of the some of the big highlights out of it was kind of want to jump into it right away is the Shinsuke and AJ Styles contract signing. It was to be expected, with Shinsuke, playing the head games with AJ. I mean that's what's been going on, for the last couple. Really. No ink. Yeah, it's the mind games. I mean, it's to the point where we see it, starting to get under AJ's skin a little bit.
I think it's getting under everyone's skin, dude.
I think it's getting under everyone's skin.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the angle that they're kind of trying to do the heel with the Shinsuke. I love the heel Shinsuke, just minus the low blow part.
Yes.
But we know it's going to be something like that. That's probably going to end up happening where they both low blow each other, but AJ is probably going to be.
No, we've already seen that. Don't jinx it, man.
No, it's probably what's going to happen. They're going to low blow each other, but AJ is going to be the one that gets back up to retain the title. That's
in all fairness, we haven't seen one since the Greatest Royal Rumble, so it's been about a month since we've seen one.
No, it happened at Backlash.
Yeah, didn't they both hit?
That's
they
what
hit
caused
both
the whole setup for the last night's signing was.
Backlash was like the week after the Greatest Royal Rumble, so it's still,
that's true.
It's been like almost a month.
Week and a half. Who knows? Whatever. It's all blending. I don't want to see any low blows anymore. That sounds like it sounds like a bad movie you find in your stash.
But I mean, it's to the point that AJ kind of snapped, reach out and try to pop him off to where they just pull him out, like get him out of here kind of thing, and then just nonchalantly, I have mine. We're good. Last man standing. So I mean that was that angle. I kind of like the setup that they're doing with Asuka and Carmella. Carmella being our crown princess of Staten Island.
I'm biting my tongue. Bite my tongue.
It was whatever. Mella's money. We all know it. But to the point, where having kind of showing that recap, like, well, look, Asuka did this well, then she lost to Charlotte. Well, I beat Charlotte twice. Have Asuka come out, and then you have trying to interject, being like, let's get ready to cause Marty's God's greatest creation, Miss Mandy Rose, come out with Sonya. But it kind of built up Asuka a little bit more to the fact that it was like either one of them was about to take on Asuka. And she's like, no, I make the matches to where Asuka's just like, let me get both of them. Good match between them,
Oh man, the Sonya Deville part, man. I want to see a
yeah.
one-on-one, dude. That was a solid match. That
Oh, it
spear
was.
she gave.
Oh man, that was
yeah.
fantastic.
It
Man.
was awesome. It was fantastic. And I mean, even though it was a 2v1 handicap match, I would love to see those two go at it in a one-on-one situation.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, speaking of Asuka, did you guys see the video of a match that she had with Lana? That she kicked Lana so damn hard her extensions felt like the whole thing fell out.
Yeah,
It
it was like a multi 6-person tag match or something like that. 'Cause Becky Lynch
all I know is I saw the kick, and all of a sudden, like 3/4 of her hair flew.
I'm not.
that was
Yeah,
it was
you
a
need to
house
watch
show
that.
of the weekend.
Yeah, Asuka to me, that's why I have such a hard time with Mello. Okay, if this was any other time when you didn't have someone like, say, an Asuka, or just how the women's competition is as a whole, yeah, Carmella's great. I mean, like I've already said, her mic skills. It's just very difficult to watch someone like Mello because that's all she has is the mic skills and the looks, and her in-ring ability is it's good. It's okay. It's nothing glamorous. She's got some good moves in there. She is definitely getting better, but I just have a hard time seeing someone like Becky Lynch not holding the championship, Asuka not holding the championship. Right now, you've just got a very good voice heel, which I guess is what they need. But at the same time, that's why I can't get behind her. I just can't get behind her because of the fact that's all she is. The minute they decide to let Asuka or Becky she's done. She's going to go back being just on the side, saying stuff, talking smack. They'll have to team her up with someone. Maybe she'll hook up with Big Cass because in real life, I think they're still together, right?
Nope.
No. So then no, they won't do that. All right. That's why you like her so much, man. She's on the market. Okay, I got it. All right. But that's ultimately what's going to happen. So, I mean, I'm sorry. Moving on. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Keep going. I took over. My bad.
No, you're fine. It's smack talk. It's what we do.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
just derailed the show like the train wreck.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Whatever. We're done now.
Peace.
They had a nice little backstage promo with the New Day and the Miz, and I like the angle that they keep playing with the New Day and the Miz.
Dude, that joke was hilarious. That joke was hilarious. I saw paper. That's all I saw.
I saw paper too.
Yeah.
So they must have just a couple pieces on top, and it made
no. They actually did the switcheroo. They panned the camera.
See, I missed that.
Happen.
Okay,
no, I saw it. No, they did the switch. They actually did the switch. And so all you anime fans,
but it was hilarious.
All you anime fans out there watching the show, fans of Naruto, Xavier did come in as like, "Hey, Hokage Miz," which I damn near lost it. I'm gonna say that. Because the ninja headband and all that. But that was great. That promo was great. The chemistry that they have in their promos, but also in the ring, is fantastic. But it goes to show you, Miz and Creed. They have some of the best stuff that they do together outside of WWE with up, down, down, and their Street Fighter stuff. That was hilarious. They actually did like a little promo leading up to that.
Saw that. Yep.
With the pictures, like, what is my picture? Yeah,
that was Memorial Day fight. Yeah, I remember that. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but then that leading up to even though it was in the main event, kind of skipping over a couple matches, but that's okay. We'll go back to it. Was the main event between the New Day, and then you had the Miz teaming up with Samoa Joe and Rusev. And it kind of be expected, with the way the heels kind of turned on him, and then, kind of having like a little like free for all kind of way to end the show with it. It's kind of be expected something was going to happen, but to the length that it was pretty good. Some of the stuff that happened backstage, we had a little promo with Algencia and almost attacking Sin Cara and kind of having that back and forth, so you're kind of seeing a little bit more of a storyline develop there. So it'd be interesting to see, like I said last in the Lost show,
yes.
kind of building up that whole that promo, and then again, seeing a little bit more like, hey, you knew him back then, and you were kind of hiding, trying to make him hide who he was. He's now with me. I'm making him bigger, and then all of a sudden you see him, boom, coming out and attacking Sin Cara.
And they announced later that night after the show, might have been the day after, But they announced they're having a match next week.
No,
Yeah.
that was the same night. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, same night. Yeah, so be interesting to see what happens in that match.
Just as long as his manager doesn't get involved. If it's a clean match, I'm going to enjoy it. The minute she jumps in, what you know is going to happen, it's going to ruin it. I think that's because they have had some tremendous matches. I am definitely not like skilled or versed in the outside WWE as maybe you guys are and stuff, but I have in my time seen matches with Sin Cara and CN on YouTube and everything. Some of the best matches I've seen lucha style outside of Rey Mysterio and whatnot, man. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them do their thing. As long as they don't screw it up with manager interference, which they will.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, I don't mind seeing her on screen at all. Just saying.
They need it, but she does wear some heavy makeup, man. Heavy makeup. Heavy.
Yeah. So you had that. Then you had Carl Anderson, Luke Harper. You kind of had that match going on where you had Luke Harper kind of dominating most of the match, and then you had Anderson get a couple shots in, be able to win via pinfall and then just roll out. That's kind of gonna heat up there a little bit of their feud. I don't know if it's been announced yet or not, but I mean we may see Rowan against Gallows next week.
I would imagine
they will.
I would imagine so, just to kind of the build up, kind of before what happens with Money in the Bank.
And it'll be about 5 minutes, and then something will happen, and there you go, done match.
Exactly.
I called it. Write that down.
Yeah, you did. So I mean, there's a lot of good matches for me. I think you also had Becky and Charlotte.
I was say you better not overlook that one.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to overlook it.
That was the biggest thing that happened on the entire show.
It was, and it was a good match. Especially with the storyline between them, with them being best friends, on the show and off the show. Kind of seeing that sportsmanship after the match. It's nice seeing Becky get a win, especially over somebody like Charlotte. I mean, not to take away any success from Becky or Charlotte, but the fact that Charlotte has had a little bit more success than Becky, so it's nice to see Becky actually get a win over Charlotte and the way that happened.
And this is something you guys have said now for the last 3-4 weeks, is that Becky has just been put on the losing streak. I know you guys are big fans of her. I am as well, but you guys have definitely been a voice of, hey, what the F are you guys doing kind of thing. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Once again, goes to the point of why I have a hard time seeing Melo as a champ, because once again, you're having matches like Charlotte and Becky Lynch, which was definitely a main event caliber wrestling match, even for a possible pay-per-view. And you got Melo. So I'm looking forward to one of those ladies. I don't care who it is at this point, because they're all worthy. Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Naomi. I mean, there's a lot of names that should be having that belt.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. There is. I mean, just with the talent that, that's in, the women's division on both sides. I mean, there's a lot of people that are deserving of the title. So I'm really excited for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match this year and to see what happens. Last match.
And then to go with that, that's 3 wins in a row for Becky. But then to have her put her in the disarm her and just make Charlotte tap. I think it's fantastic they did that. If people were talking about, when Charlotte, making Asuka tap, how, people weren't for that and, how to make people perceived. I was okay with that. I didn't mind it whatsoever. And now Charlotte, who's, she's the number one, female superstar on the entire roster, just because of who, what she does in the ring. She may be one of the best wrestlers altogether, not even just as a female. But to have her tap out to Becky, not only does it show that Becky's starting to turn things around, get some victories, but she made Charlotte tap. And I think that's just going to add more value to her. And hopefully this continues, because even if she doesn't win the Money in the Bank, I hope this isn't a program where they have her win a couple matches leading up to Money in the Bank and they drop her off this summer again. They cannot do that. If they do that, they're just going to completely ruin an amazing talent like Becky Lynch. But yeah, I was happy with the match. The one thing, man, I don't know about you guys, but the whole tea time thing, ever since they started doing that like a year and a half ago, just irritates the crap out of me. I get like they have their thing, and now like Naomi's in on it, and some other and Natalya's in on it, and they're all a little bit, they're all kind of joined. It's like, okay, so is this the female version of the Too Sweet? Because that's what it seems like they're trying to do. And it's just
I'm for it.
The fact they're doing it in the middle of the match and stuff like that, it's like, come on, guys.
Well, I mean, it goes to show, like where they're at, and it kind of, it's their best friend thing, but it's just like, hey, let's have some fun with it, kind of thing, I like it, but that's me though. That's me.
We saw Finn and AJ fight back in November.
Oh,
and they fought and they had a killer match.
Absolutely.
They Too Sweeted after the match was over. They didn't Too Sweet in the middle of the match. They didn't group up and hug it out. They didn't, it's just like, come on. We know you're friends. We got it. Let's get the match. Let's do it.
Yeah.
The whole T thing itself is just annoying to me. I don't know why. It just is.
Yeah. And then the last match, and the reason I'm bringing this one up last is because I like the aerobatics, and that's just me. I mean, coming from it was the mixed tag team match between Jimmy and Naomi against Lana and Aiden English. And the reason I bring it up is I'm a fan of the Usos. I've been a fan of the Usos. I love the high flying acrobatics, but seeing the in ring chemistry that they have together, it's phenomenal. The spots that they do together. I mean, they had the double kick, and then all of a sudden you see Naomi coming out of nowhere on the top rope to do a crossbody over Aiden English. Yep. Like some of the spots that they're letting them take in the mix, in a mixed tag team challenge is just going. For me, it says a lot, in the confidence they have in their performers that they're able to do stuff like this a lot more so now than in the past. What are you guys' thoughts on that too?
Well, yeah, I what makes it even better is the fact that they're actually recognizing the marriage thing. Like they did their backstage promo, and then at the end, it's Naomi saying "Uso Penitentiary," and then they go walking away. So that's cool that they recognize that, and yeah, you could definitely see the talent or the chemistry that you have with just the family as a whole. Naomi and Jimmy and Jay, phenomenal. And I could definitely see, like I said, once again, it's one of those things where I have a hard time seeing some people be in the places they are because of you see this just everything going. Smackdown needs its third hour. And something I have been thinking about for this last week, since our last conversation, what can WWE do different? I don't think it would be far-fetched to say that they are damn near close to maybe even having their own female show as far as going hour or 2 hours, something like that, kind of like an NXT or a 205 again. Naomi, I mean, because the problem you're running into is you got one belt for each of the ladies' divisions, and that's it. They haven't talked about Tag Team Championship belts at all, even though we thought they might have done something. They might do something with Money in the Bank.
SummerSlam is when the tag team belts are coming.
But
that's my guess.
But there's so much outside talk. Like some of the things I've been seeing is like, for example, there's a lot of talk about them signing Toni Storm, which would be a freaking huge pickup.
They did so. They signed her last week.
Did they officially do it?
Yeah, they officially signed her. I think last weekend.
God, that's huge. She's a phenomenal. She made a big impact with the Mae Young Classic. I know they're going to redo the Mae Young Classic again, just like they're doing the UK tournament. I think they're getting to a point where the women's division either needs to have more belts or they got to start having their own show, or maybe even do a combination of both.
They definitely need to add more belts. I don't think that they need to have a separate show. If they do a separate show, then you're devaluing the entire women's revolution.
Yeah.
Because you're not seeing them as part of the main roster anymore. You're seeing them as they have their own show. It's going back to the day with Glow Wrestling or something like that. It's all the women being highlighted. Yeah. You're going to see women wrestling more. I think at that point you would need to still have more belts because you can't have an entire show everybody going after one belt. It's just not going to work that way.
Yeah.
But I think you take them away from the men and having complete separate, you do a complete 180 and do a U-turn and go the opposite direction of where they've been heading for the last 3 years. I think they need to showcase more female matches.
Absolutely.
But they do definitely need to have more belts for them to go after.
They got to do something because it's really difficult to watch your Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Naomi and everything doing their thing, and there's just no reward for them.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's you have such a good core, not necessarily just a core group, an overall great group of female talent, and they're just going after one belt on each show.
Yeah, because if you look at it, you have your champion on both brands, you have your number one contender, and you usually have one or two other people that are trying to play that one number one contender. So essentially, you have between 3 and 4 people working for that one belt, and everyone else is just doing tag team matches or whatever it may be, or not even on the roster, or not even on shows. And that's just, there's so much talent, and especially tag team talent that are put together with the women's division. That man, they can.
The women's division is so deep, and it goes all the way down to NXT. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, every woman on the roster knows their role, knows what they could bring to it. You don't have I think there's a big difference between what you're seeing women's right now and women in the 90s. When they say the revolution kind of started, in a sense, when they started going from divas to actual performers, in a sense, is that there's not, you don't hear about a lot of the backstage stuff. Like you watch some of the stuff on the WWE channel when you're talking to like Trish and Lita, there was a lot of backstage stuff going on, not necessarily between them, but in the women's division as a whole. And it just made it toxic. And you're not seeing that with this newer division. They're all they all get along really well. They all understand what they could bring to the table. There's obviously some things here and there, and it doesn't help with Total Divas kind of flaring things up. But for the most part, everyone understands their role to a point where someone like Lana would never have gotten a chance prior to this revolution, because she was all just the show with barely any go. And at first it was like that for her, but you could obviously see she's put a lot of effort into the craft and trying to work her in-ring skills to a point where now she's going to be in a Money in the Bank ladder match. So that just goes to show you where the women's division is. And I know we jumped off topic on you on SmackDown, but Naomi just kind of hit it on the head for me, because that match did highlight what she can do and what that women division could do. It's no longer just someone like China going after the guys anymore. Yeah. Any of the ladies could do it now.
Yeah, and that'd be interesting. I mean, I think we're gonna eventually get to the point where we might end up seeing women versus men like we did back, China versus Jericho for actual titles, and I think with some of the women on the roster, we may not have that, but I mean, look at some of the women on the roster: Ronda Rousey, Charlotte. Bring Baszler up there. I feel like there's some women on there that could go and take down some of the men on the roster.
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. I mean, Ronda went, squared up against Triple H. Triple H is a legend. Triple H isn't just some guy you just walk around and job out to.
Yeah.
He's a legend who's there for a reason, and she squared up with him and went at him. And that's just something to say about the division altogether.
Now there's, I think what MindFreak, is that it with SmackDown, you think? Or
that was it. Yeah, that's why I did that match kind of last, was to kind of highlight that, where it's been going with it. So that was pretty much it for the SmackDown show. Overall, it was a decent show. Like I said, I know we have Money in the Bank just right around the corner, so we'll see what next week brings.
Yeah, I think next week, when you watch the show, guys, it'll be our preview for Money in the Bank. We'll go through the different matches. We'll probably talk a little bit about the setups for them, but for the most part, we're just going to be talking about the matches that they'll be having at Money in the Bank and break down each of the matches as best we can. I do want to give a shout out to Raw, though. It was nice to see the Big Show come out. Even if it, I haven't seen him for a while. He comes out doing the Special Olympics promo. I'm glad that he's still.
He just signed his contract a couple weeks ago. So he just signed a brand new contract. But, I was at the point. I was like, okay, there's down moments. So I actually stepped out of the room for a moment. And I heard his music hit. And I actually ran back. And I'm like, oh, crap, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a match since, right around, December, January.
I'm not looking. I mean, to be perfectly frank, I'm not looking forward to kind of seeing him job out because that's what it's coming down to. If he signed a contract, he's going to be doing matches, but I don't want to see what happened to Andre the Giant. Like, if you guys watched the documentary, I actually watched it, but then also remember it because I've been watching wrestling forever. It was very difficult to see that big man hold on to the ropes hitting people because he just couldn't make it anymore. I really don't want to see Big Show go out that way.
Yeah, but it also, it's a lot of the same things, are different than, Andre. Andre was doing, even longer than he was in WWE, but he was doing all over the world.
No, it's just.
But not only that, but the fact that, Andre was coming down to the point where he was having a lot of injuries and a lot of health issues, and that's really what started making him go slower. And a lot of the issues that he had, we don't really necessarily worry about with Big Show because, one, he had, the items that would cause those issues, he got those taken care of a long time ago. Obviously he's a giant still, so that still has that health issue.
That's the thing, though. Yeah,
but the fact that he's looking better and healthier now than he has over the last 10 years.
Sure.
I don't think we're going to see the demise of the Big Show like we did with Andre, and I hope that they stays that way because like you said, seeing him job out and just deteriorate in front of our eyes, I really don't want to see that.
Wrestling is definitely not a big man show anymore, man. You don't have Hulk Hogan or anybody like that. You could actually run shows without having, like Big Show coming out and dominating people anymore. In fact, really the only really big guy you have dominating right now is Braun Strowman, but that's just Braun Strowman. That's who he is. He's got hands. You know what I'm saying? He's got the personality for it. Yeah. But it's not he doesn't have too many people to fight against anymore. Big Show doesn't have Kane. He doesn't have Undertaker. He doesn't have all these other big guys. Yeah, exactly. It's a bunch of
all he really has is Braun Strowman, and if you want to interject him, Big Cass.
I was about to say his last match was against Big Cass.
Yeah,
because that's his last storyline was being Enzo's bodyguard or buddy. Enzo was his little buddy, and then that's the whole storyline with Cass, and then that's the last time we saw him.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we should call it a day right there. I think it was a great show. Quiet news going on this week. I see CM Punk and everything contemplating not coming back. Who knows? But he's in the news this week. We get to look forward to a UK tournament that's coming up, the second one here pretty soon. And of course, I think we mentioned this just earlier and stuff. WWE going all in now with the UK or the Europe. The UK title are actually coming out with a whole division as they've hired Johnny Saint, legend in English wrestling. He's going to be the GM out there. He's the William Regal of England, man, and that's a huge signing for him. So I'm interested to see how they're going to infuse the UK style of wrestling, because right now they're using 205 as the interaction, or not 205, excuse me, NXT is the interaction with the UK bracket. So we have a lot of things coming around the corner after Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. So
yeah, and if you guys get a chance, take a look. You might even, I don't know if they do a free subscription for 30 days or whatever it may need to be, but New Japan's got a big weekend or a big event going on.
Yes.
Saturday.
Can you please tell people, because I'm going to write this down, where you can find that New Japan wrestling stuff?
Yeah, you just go to newjapanworld.com. That's basically where it's at. You can click on, it's all in Japanese, so you have to click on the little English, look for the American flag, and you can change it to English.
I hope
but
so.
They have a big event going on. Dominion 6.9 is going on this weekend, and it's in Osaka, Japan. And there's a lot of names on there. Chris Jericho is going for the Intercontinental Championship. We're getting a rematch between Okada and Kenny Omega for the championship. So Rey Mysterio Jr., we were just talking about him the other day. Where is he going to end up next? He has a tag match going on, a 6-man tag match, I believe, going on in Japan this weekend. I'll probably be watching it live, so that's tomorrow night at midnight. However, if you check it out, they do usually rerun it throughout the day. You can watch it on demand, kind of like the network does. And I probably within over the weekend, maybe even next week, you could probably watch it on Access TV, on whatever cable network you might actually have too. But a lot of matches, a lot of title change or championship matches. The Young Bucks are going to be on there, but just the fact that we're going to get Mysterio Jr. on there, a rematch between Kenny Omega and Okada. But, Chris Jericho is going to get that Intercontinental Championship match in Japan. One, it was a big deal that he was even going to fight Japan in the first place. But the fact that he's actually fighting for a title out there, and with everything that's been happening ever since Wrestle Kingdom, I have a pretty good feeling that he actually could come out and beat Naito for that title. And if he does, then it's going to be, Chris Jericho at that point, he's done it all. He would definitely be like the best in the world because he's done it all at the highest levels across the board.
GOAT.
New Jericho professional wrestling. No more Japan. It's all Jericho now. There you go.
Drink it in, man.
You're on the list.
Gotta be part of the Alpha Club. Gotta get that Alpha Club.
Hey, speaking of list, really quick, there's the list of Malice Corp right off there to the left. That's where you can follow a lot of us there. Malice Corp being the big show. Check them out. Malice-Corp, Friday night, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. live on Twitch. A lot of great topics they're going to be talking about, especially with the con season coming around. Thank you very much to Malice Corp for giving us this night. MindFreak, where can we find you?
Well, as always, it's in the top corner right here over my shoulder. Follow me on Twitter at MindFreakMLG and also on Twitch at twitch.tv/BTBMindFreak. Do daily streams with different games and just hanging out.
Nice. And then Marty, man, I think we're pointing to the wrong. I thought I was pointing to the right shoulder, man. I thought I was on the. Yeah, see, it's over one of our shoulders. How about that? We never said we were,
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. It's right there, right? Our producer's telling us yay, nay, who knows? All right, Marty, where can we find you?
Yes. You can find me at Marty_Vasquez87, Instagram and Twitter. Talking wrestling at all times and always posting some updates on there. You can always follow and take a look at a lot of those things.
Now, awesome. Our producer said yes, so we're going to do a yes chant for him. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. You can always follow me at Masonic Vader, Masonic Vader 71 on PlayStation Network. But like I always say, the most important one to follow is us on Twitter, Malice Smack Talk, also on Instagram. Still working on the Instagram as far as getting some more activity there. As you can tell, Lucha Taco Shops being the last post. Go figure. But yeah, definitely follow us. We really appreciate you guys checking us out. Make sure you leave some comments for us. And of course, like always, if you dig our shows, please give us a quick 5-star review. We could use all the help we can get as we're still getting this show up and running and everything. So once again, thank you very much for showing up. Next week, we'll be doing Money in the Bank preview. You guys have a great week. And that's the 1, 2, 3. We're out. We got a bell.
We got a
bell. That's awesome.
The cover strikes. Back in.